Hey, it's...
Hey, babe, it's Dennis from Santa Barbara, babe. How you doing, Big Papa Sammy? That's what I call you now, Big Papa Sammy. How you doing?
I'm fine. This is Dennis?
It's the D-Man, babe.
Oh,
Bop, 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 bop.
Hello, hello,
hello.
hello. This is Canada's premier polymath, Jordan Peterson.
Apple cider.
Like, what was it
sulfites
doing?
in it.
What was it doing to you?
Oh, it produced an overwhelming sense of impending doom. And
Hello, Jordan.
I've taken a break from masturbating in the bathroom at work to address some criticisms I've received on this program as of late.
Okay. You calling about your
Say,
Apple?
you and your Looney Tunes crew of loopy lefties are pretty rough on me and Billo, and I get it. We're trying to break into your business, but, babe, you're busting my balls over here.
I just want to remind people the reason why Bill O'Reilly is talking in his storage closet to Dennis Miller, who may or may not be on the toilet with his iPad, is because Bill O'Reilly was a serial sexual harasser.
It reminds me of that time my ex-wife called to say she was leaving me and that she didn't love me anymore and that, in fact, she wasn't sure if she ever loved me at all. And I wouldn't have to worry about alimony because she's been fucking a wealthier, more successful man for several years. Bop, 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 bop.
Why is my hair so greasy? Pomade and other hair products that result in a conspicuously slick sheen are reminders of a previous hierarchy in which men's hair could look like an orb and women could be groped in a hallway for dressing like whores.
Hello, Sam. This is Johann Miller. I would like to start off by telling you you're a horrible person. Now that we have that out of the way, I'd like to defend my Libertarian friend.
Okay.
You know, Sammy, you and I, we're not that different if you think about it. You just got your sponsors back, and you can go back to slinging overpriced bed sheets and custom-made suits sewn by a 6-year-old Chinese boy like Short Round from Indiana Jones, but without the fortune and glory.
This is becoming
First of all,
Inception-like.
while the arc
This
of
is becoming
justice does
Inception-like.
So crazy.
And again, I come back to makeup in the workplace. Why do women make their lips red? Why do they put rouge on their cheeks? Why do they wear high heels? To exaggerate sexual attractiveness to their bosses. Pigs! Why do pigs have these cute little upturned noses? And why do they have those cute little curly cute tails above their pink, pert pig buttocks? Why is it okay to openly talk about eating pig butt as a cut of meat, yet if I were to tell my TA that I want to eat her big pig butt at work, she's black, by the way, that's a problem. That's a problem.
It reminds me of how I traded in a still somewhat viable career in comedy to support an illegal war of aggression that resulted in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians. Now I've been reduced to doing extremely racist commentary in Bill O'Reilly's basement. Burp, burp, burp. We're basically the same person if you think about it.
The arc of justice does bend towards freedom and liberty and equality, unfortunately. We must bend that arc backwards.
And you ask me, why am I jerking off right now? Why am I jerking off right now? Why?
Why?
To exaggerate my sexual attractiveness. Ritual bestiality with swine was common in previous hierarchies and social structures. They are very smart, very loving, very generous, loving animals.
Watching you beg for your sponsors to come back reminded me of that time I called Adam Sandler and begged to be an extra in Grown Ups 2. Bah, 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 bah.
Towards the previous power structure. And that is the root of libertarianism. Unfortunately, my friend was unable to explain this fairly. And you did not give him an appropriate amount of time. Now, do not hang up on me. That is the libertarian prerogative.
Thank you for the...
And you stop laughing. Clean your room, Michael. I'm your father. I'm your father. Who's your daddy, you fucking cultural Marxist?
Okay. We've got to... yeah, there we go.
Oh, that was a killer.
There you go.
Hi, always hoped that he would call into the show.
Yep.
This is Susan from Maine. We love your show in the club. I just wanted to drop in and remind your audience that if you permit the Queen, you better not miss. And I'll tell you something that Representative Blake Farenthold wouldn't miss. An opportunity to fill his jowly cock holster with a Big Mac. Okay, stay woke, seize the means, and shout to the 207.
Samuel Seder, I presume.
Yes.
Long-time listener, first-time caller from the Hall of Presidents in sunny Orlando, Florida.
Wow.
At Disney Resorts. 'Tis I, Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
What's up, commies? It's the Mooch.
Oh, it's the Mooch. Anthony Scaramucci. How are you?
It's been better. I'm still fuming over what that bigot Comey had to say about us Italianos.
Oh, well, hello, Franklin Delano.
Samuel,
Yes.
Yesterday I tuned in to your show late and could hear you were quite distraught about something, but I did not hear the news. Tell me, was there a collapse of the global markets, leaving tens of millions of Americans homeless, jobless, and scrapping for their next meal?
Now, did Comey actually refer to Italian people?
Hey, you think the language that he used, like Cosa Nostra, you think this is a coincidence? This is how these Lefty pricks always snipe at us.
No, not.
Did the Japanese engage in a surprise attack? And believe me, it was a complete surprise, which resulted in thousands of dead Americans while plunging us into a bloody global war over the future of civilization.
But Cosa Nostra are just simply Italian words. I mean, it's Cosa Nostra.
Coded language.
It's a thing.
Coded language. It's no coincidence. Hey, you think it's a coincidence that there's like one voting booth in every black neighborhood in South Carolina? Mm-hmm. You think it's a coincidence that asparagus night and date night with Ivanka are the same night? Come on.
No, it was.
And tell me, Samuel, do your legs still work?
They do. Yes. Barely.
Then pull yourself together, for Christ's sake. In my day, when they tried to own the libs, I lined up all the Republicans in Congress shoulder to shoulder and had Eleanor push my chair down the line while I whipped each of them square in the balls with my cane. Yes, they did everything they could to stop my greatest accomplishments, like, say, I don't know, a little thing you may have heard of. What's it called? Social fucking security?
Right, I've heard of that. That's one of my favorites.
Yes.
You can never be white enough for these Watsy pricks.
So,
all right?
I see what you're saying. So you're saying that Comey,
at the end of the day, we're all European, right?
Well, yes. Well, I appreciate that.
Now I must jump, as they say, before the more troubling parts of my legacy get brought up, like the Japanese internment camps, my treatment of the Negroes, or that time I fucked my cousin.
Thank you. Wow.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an immigration lawyer.
Yes, I'm aware.
And so it's been a really tough year. I think it's hard to put into words the violence that the community is suffering. And it's not just a physical violence. It's also an emotional violence that goes with what's happening. The other day I had a lady in my office and she was just sobbing. And through her tears, she could barely speak, but all she could say is, why do they keep taking Greg's calls? And like, I have no way of comforting somebody like that anymore. I do think it's pretty unfair how you frame George W. Bush a lot of the time, because seems like kind of a cool dude, and I think we'd probably rather genocide with like a cool dude and somebody who's like, chill to hang with than somebody who's like a total D-bag, you know what I mean? And I just don't think that you're really giving him enough credit, and I'd like to take up about 30 minutes, if you don't mind, on this particular issue.
She's crying and sobbing, and she's like, don't they know his area code? Like, just write it down on a piece of paper and put it on the computer. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I call in a lot, but I don't have any sway over there. There's nothing I can do.
You know, Sam Seder can barely keep his facts straight when he's talking about politics. But when it comes to slime, he's way off base. First, he goes after Karen B. and says her slime sucks. Now, if Sam wants to think that, that's fine. But he's got a large audience of people who don't know the first thing about slime, and it's really unfair for him to be spreading these lies.
That's it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.